me and see me. We've got Matthew Marx on the line, reporting from home, which is Matthew. You're still in San Francisco, the San Francisco neighborhood.
San Francisco. I can see Parque Omar from my window.
Oh, torture!
Yeah.
Still close.
Absolutely, 100% torture. I'm used to going there every day, and now I can just look at the trees bloom.
Well, they're blooming. The Guayacanes. I see them in El Cangrejo too. It's very pretty. Well, cool, guys. As always, thank you so much for tuning in. There's Chris. Appreciate you, Chris. And we've got Matthew Marx on the line. Matthew runs our Beaches and Mountains division. He also handles some city inquiries, but yeah, he is our water and rock specialist. Matthew is originally from the States. You came here, Matthew, how long ago?
July will be 11 years.
Oh, boy. Yeah. Oh, good on ya. Oh, can't see or hear anything. Shoot, Clint, thank you for the feedback. Let's see here. Connect camera might be helpful. A ver. All right, let's see here. Is that working now? All right. Yay, good. Okay, Clint, you made us worried there for a second. I think we should be good here. Guys, once again, as always, thank you for joining us. Okay, Derek, thank you for confirming. And we're using a new format, as you can see, always trying to up our game here at Panama Equity. Yeah, so we've got Matthew Marx, our star Beaches and Mountains salesman. Matthew, the people want to know, what are you hearing from sellers right now? Our Beaches and Mountains sellers, what are they telling you?
I mean, besides the fact that they're ready to get out of the house and back to normal life, people are prepared to start dropping their prices, and we're seeing like 10% drops right now, and they're ready to make moves to get the market going again.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I think it's always a function of the seller situation. You got some folks that are just fine riding this out if they have to, for however long, and you also got folks that are really motivated. Maybe they have other businesses they need to free up some cash flow. Maybe they are looking forward to moving to the city, or they need to get back to wherever they're from. So yeah, I mean, Matthew does a great job of staying in touch with our sellers. How many listings do you think we have right now out at the beach and the mountains, Matty?
Just off the top of my head, I'd say we're tickling right around 100.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. And that's, as folks know here in Panama, a lot of the listings are not exclusive. So in the States, that would be unheard of to have 100 properties that you're managing and trying to promote at any one time. Here in Panama, at Panama Equity, we've got, I want to say, about 400 properties right now listed where we are directly engaged with the sellers. Now, some sellers choose to work with a couple different agencies. Obviously, they keep the best top of mind. Yeah, so over the coming weeks and months, I know Matthew's already doing a very good job at it, as are the rest of our agents. It's going to be all about staying in touch with sellers and understanding sort of who really needs to sell and who's just sort of lackadaisical and saying, we'll wait. If we have to wait another year or two, that's fine. But anyway, okay, great. So that's what you're hearing right now. Some folks, Matthew just mentioned, are already looking to drop by, as much as 10%. You just never know, right? I mean, I think when things open up again, we were just talking before the call, both Matthew and I, thank God, are pretty busy right now. Matthew, you said you've been on the phone with folks all morning and during this week. What are the type of inquiries you're getting? Where are people coming from? What are they looking for?
Sure. It's really a good mix between people from North America and local Panamanians that are stuck here in quarantine. And they're starting to look, if they might be stuck here in the city and saying, oh, I would much rather be out in the beach area right now during this time.
Sure.
So they're starting to shake some trees, see what falls out as far as being out there in the beach areas. And Altos del Maria is in the mountains, higher elevation, cooler weather. So a lot of the people from the city want to go out there to get away from the Central American heat.
Yeah, man, and just the urban environment. So, okay, interesting. Would you say, Matthew, you probably got at least 4 or 5 folks that are really ready to make a deal and just say, I've already told you, Matthew, we're willing to drop the price as much as necessary to get the deal done?
Oh yeah, just in the last 7 days, I've had 3 or 4 folks call me and say we're listening to all offers at this point.
Interesting. Can you do a quick little commercial for one of those properties? Maybe, you know, a beach house and a mountain house, just sort of paint the picture, guys selling. What would you say is one of our most interesting properties for sale right now?
Well, one of the most popular properties where I get a lot of inquiries is Bahia Tower.
Okay.
It's a very popular tower right on the beach in Gorgona, just about 5 minutes from Coronado. And one of our listings there, the gentleman called me last week, says, let's drop the price to around 244, which makes it one of the lower priced apartments in the entire building. And it's right on the water. You have a wonderful view from your balcony, your master bedroom of the ocean. And this gentleman is listening to all offers at this point. He's just ready to cut ties. He's moving from Panama, and this is the last thing holding him down.
Right on. Okay, so, and I've been in that building. I like Bahia. So that's Corcion Developers. That's probably what, 8 years old, something like that.
Yeah, exactly right.
I tell you what, man, I mean, 8 years ago, that would have been 2012. I bet that same property was selling for around 325, 340 por ahí.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it's come down a lot. And it sounds like this guy's open. Cool. I mean, I think going forward, that's going to be the key for us as real estate agents, at least when we're advising buyers and sellers at the end of the day, to be really in touch with who needs to sell. Because buyers right now, nobody's going to be paying retail. You'd be crazy too with what's going on in the world. 6 months, 12 months from now, nobody really knows. But right now, there's so much uncertainty that I think that sellers would be silly to turn away a real buyer. Or at least, well, not silly. Everybody's got their own perspective and right to do whatever they want. But cool. So, guys, if you're just now joining us, appreciate you popping in and saying hello on the chat there. Always curious where people are coming from. We've got Matthew Marx on the line. Matthew handles our beaches and mountains area. He's also been doing property sales in the city. Matthew's been in Panama for going on 11 years now. So let's talk about Matthew Marx. Where do you like to go for the news, Matthew? Are you a traditional media guy like CNN and CNBC and Fox or wherever, or are you more like a deep digger like a Drudge Report or Zero Hedge? Where do you get your news?
I try to take a little piece from everything.
Okay.
I visit CNN, I visit Fox, so that way you get both sides of the aisle.
Sure.
But also, I like to get a lot of my local news from Reddit and their subreddit, the Panama subreddit.
Wow.
It's a great mix of local Panamanians and expats all in one community. So you'll see news stories on there from sources I would have never thought to look up, beyond La Estrella, beyond La Prensa, but international sources. So something that wouldn't be on my radar initially.
No, that's great. I think our investor clients and our sellers really look to us for market insight, and there's nothing better than just getting as much feedback as you can from multiple and as unbiased sources as possible. So cool, right on. And so Matthew Marx, the agent, how you liking the business? Matthew's been with us for less than a year, but he's a Panama vet and a marketing genius. Now in sales, he's done very well. I mean, shoot, I think you probably closed close to 10 deals already. Yeah, you're rocking, and pipeline is looking good. So high five there. How are you liking being a real estate agent, Matthew, especially in COVID times?
I love it. It was just like a duck to water from day one. I knew it was what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, I mean, you called me one day and said, I think you have the right attitude for this kind of work. And through our relationship, we've known each other for about 10 years now. And I said, all right, well, let's take the plunge. And you were 100% right. It's something that took to me right away.
Right on, man. Well, for those of us who know Panama Equity, I mean, my hiring philosophy, you just got to have three things. You got, and in no particular order, but these are must-haves, all the way down to the secretary. And Matthew's got it. It's hardworking, it's a strong sense of ethics, and it's a growth mindset. And sales, that's important, but I think anywhere for people just to have success, I think those three are very important. So now you're doing great, man. Okay, cool. So let's keep talking about the market here. Let's see. Para ver. So best deals, you've already talked about one of your good deals, which is that Bahia Gorgona. Matthew mentioned that sellers are, already starting to drop. We've seen 10, in some cases, a little bit higher percent decreases. So, that means from a $400,000 property to $360,000 or less. We've got a few sellers that are willing to just, do what they have to do, which is always interesting from a opportunistic standpoint. What about up in the mountains? I mean, are people starting to show some interest of getting out of the city? What's a hot deal you have in the mountains right now?
I mean, 100%. People are looking at the mountains mainly because, Altos is very popular because it is a gated community. You have a big expat influence there, and cooler climates. So I'm starting to get some traction on some folks that are looking around there that want to get outside of the heat, up into the mountains, fresher air. Some of the best options we have out there are from people that are expats that are here during quarantine that aren't able to get back to their home country. So now they're ready to move on. They're ready to drop their prices and go back to back to the States where they're more comfortable with some family that they figured out Panama wasn't for them.
Got you. I mean, that happens. You get people down here that are so used to coming and going. Maybe they'll come down here for a month or two and then head back up north. So, yeah, I mean, younger grandkids definitely are always a factor of pulling people back to their home country. So, yeah, and what about a deal? What's the hottest deal you got right now in the mountains, Matthew?
The hottest deal we have going in the mountains right now actually is an awesome place up in about 800 meters above sea level. It's on the higher end of Altos. Awesome house that was originally listed for around 700, and now through having it, the owner has moved on to Colorado. They've decided not to wait for their home to be sold, and now they've recently dropped the price almost down to $490,000.
Holy cow. Okay. I want to make sure people just heard that. So you've got a property, 700,000, 800 meters above sea level.
Mm-hmm.
So it's cold at night. You got a pool, like how many bedrooms? And it's a big lot, I assume.
It's a big lot on the side of the mountain at the end of a cul-de-sac, so it's complete privacy. They've even built stairs so you can actually kind of just, walk down safely into some of the wooded area. And there's no swimming pool, but they have a real stone fireplace that perfect for at night when you have that cross breeze coming through. And then on the second level, where the master suite is actually located, they have a hot tub jacuzzi overlooking the mountain, which is just spectacular. And the house it's about, I'd say 300 square meters more or less, and it's 3 bedrooms.
Okay, cool. We're at 700 grand. Now they're at 480, 490, and it sounds like you probably be willing to consider offers, huh?
That's correct.
I love it, man. I mean, Mountain Oasis, we're still doing business in the city, but we're getting a lot more housing inquiries than we are apartments. Just right now, I think maybe that's a reaction, but maybe that's the direction of the market too. Does the property, thank you, Chris, does the property have a name on our website? How would you find that?
It does have a name. It's if you just look up Privacy in Sora, SORA.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And it'll come right up.
Awesome. No, thank you for that. And that's on PanamaEquity.com.
That's right.
Hey, so guys, if you're just now joining us, we've got Matthew Marx, who runs our beaches and mountains region. Matthew's a 11-year veteran in Panama. He's our sales rock star. for that area. We do this every week at 11 o'clock a.m. Panama time, and we really do appreciate you guys popping in, answering any questions. I would love to take a quick survey, if I could, for anybody watching right now. If you could answer yes or no, are you in Panama right now? I'm going to answer yes, I'm in El Cangrejo. So there you have it. Checking in. Yeah, so let's see. What else can we talk about here? I don't know. Matthew, did you have any questions for me?
Well, actually, you started to mention about some of the best opportunities, and I feel we may have ignored some of the investors. Right now, you're seeing a lot of investors who initially purchased to rent out their apartment are looking to get some liquidity back. So, for instance, there's an apartment in El Cangrejo in Vitro Loft, which is very popular, where he just got a renter last month. There's still 11 months left on the lease on this 90 square meter loft, and he's selling it for $164,000. And again, is another person who's listening to all offers because they need the liquidity.
I love it. Okay, so talk to me about that. As I look for I just put in Vitro Panama Equity on Google, and there it is. So, so it's on sale, Maddie, for 168,000.
Yep.
Right. Hold on. And what's it rented for right now?
It's $900 a month, and the lease still has 11 months left on the lease, so it's instant ROI the moment you close on the apartment.
I love it. Cool. Yeah, there it is, right there. I just popped it in. Yeah, no, there's definitely city deals to be had as well. I mean, I think the right approach right now is watching the market. You know, dipping your toes in, getting a sense of what prices are today, what they were, say, 2 months ago, and what factors can influence, you know, whether that's rent, whether that's a lot of new supply, whether that's demand somehow being restricted. Obviously, people getting in and out of Panama is going to have a factor. I think I haven't heard yet of you today, at least, if they've announced Tocumen being able to receive flights yet. Have you heard any news about that in the last 12 hours?
No, I haven't heard anything new on that. I did hear that Spirit had a new humanitarian flight going out, but no updates on incoming flights.
I bet Spirit could fill a humanitarian flight from the U.S. to Panama of people wanting to get the heck out, originating from New York or LA. Yeah, no, cool. Let's see here. What else? I think I had actually written some other questions down here. How many people do you think, Maddie, are riding out this? So we've got a lot of friends between us. That live in the city. Have you found that some of those folks went out to the beaches or the mountains and are just sort of camping out right now?
Absolutely. Just from checking my Facebook, Instagram, you're seeing people posting pictures, enjoying their pool or enjoying, you know, just beautiful weather out there. So I'd say, you know, close to 50% of my friends have gone out to the interior.
Lucky duck.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I tell you what, we're in May, but these last 2 weeks of April have been beautiful. I would say average temperature during the day, you know, I mean, year round, we're probably low 90s, but man, it's been like upper 80s. Maybe that's because less cars on the road. Maybe that's, I think, also a function of the time of year. The winter, our rainy season is coming in. So, you know, it's been nice and cool here in the city, working out on the balcony, but yeah, I'm missing that pool, buddy. Lord have mercy. So yeah, in case you guys haven't seen our other webinars, or I should say Facebook Lives, we're doing all kinds of online initiatives these days, Facebook Live being one of them. Last week and the prior weeks on Facebook Live, we've talked about the situation in Panama, how the government has been very proactive. We are going on week 8 of essentially a full quarantine. Guys can go out for 2 hours a day, every other day. Girls can go out every other day for 2 hours as well. Nobody out on the weekend. So it's pretty hardcore. But, I mean, flattening the curve, right? I haven't seen the numbers today, but I know we were hovering around that number, that 1 or that neutral infection rate that everybody's using as sort of the metric. Last check, hospitals are running at 60% capacity, which is great. Good job, Panama, for bringing on new hotel capacity. They're giving relief to the most exposed populations. We haven't seen any small business relief. That's okay. We're still over here grinding. Fortunately, deals are coming in. Matthew just got the final closing documents. When is notary signing?
Well, we dropped off the final documents yesterday to the bank to approve their letter that they already approved to us. So the notary should be this week. Well,
Cool.
this coming week.
What's that sale? What's the deal?
That's another one in vitro loft, actually. That was one that an investor from Tokyo purchased sight unseen.
Oh, right. Yeah. We got that rented too for him, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
Yeah. All right. Good. No, that's how we do at Panama. No, and it's great to see that the salesman and Matthew is, we have a team of 15. Matthew is, as you guys already have heard, he runs our beaches and mountains division. He also does deals here in the city, working mostly with investor clients at this point for folks that are looking to buy and then lease out. He's done a great job. He's closed 10 deals in the last, 3 months, something like that. Yeah, so he's rocking. Let's see, what else can we talk about here?
Well, I'm wondering, I've got a couple questions for you. We have a couple, we have seen a lot of people are staying at home, quarantine or self-imposed isolation.
Yeah.
Are you seeing an increase in web traffic at PanamaEquity.com?
To be honest, no. We've seen an increase from March to April. I'll get April numbers in the next couple days, but February compared to April is still down. It's still down, on average in February, we were getting probably about 26,000 visitors to our website. In March, that number dropped to around 18. And I think that, I think that I wouldn't be surprised if we probably saw low 20s again. Facebook has been super busy, Instagram super busy. So I think people are a lot more engaged with social media right now. But yeah, we're still getting traffic. Altos del Maria, thank you, Chris. Talk to us about Altos. How far is it from Panama City? Who lives there? What kind of temperatures are we looking at, and why? Why would somebody want to live in Altos instead of, say, Coronado?
Altos is perfect for the person that wants to come down to Panama, enjoy all that the Panama, all the benefits you have of coming down here, but without the heat. It's everything on average is about 600 meters above sea level. So driving up there from the city, it's about an hour and a half. Easy drive out there, just like you're going out to Coronado. And then once you see the sign for Altos, you hang a right and you just go up that one road all the way to Altos. And it's up in the mountains, exactly what we've been saying. So you get a lot of like pine trees out there, fresh, cool mountain breeze coming down. And just a bunch of, you have a lot of expats that live out there that, again, wanted to come down to Panama, but didn't want to have that beach lifestyle or just don't like the heat. So they wanted something different.
So my wife was sitting around one weekend about 2 months ago. We just got back from a trip to the States, beach. We were looking for some cool weather because here in Panama, living in the city, it's 80 to 95 year round. And we got to talking and we said, where should we go? Should we fly out to Colombia? It's really cheap to fly there for a couple of days. We decided on Altos del Maria. We got a group of people together, probably about 8 people, drove out there, didn't get lost, straight shot all the way up. And man, when we got to that house, holy cow, I think we paid probably $120 a night, 4 bedrooms, Airbnb, had a pool, one of those infinity pools where you just lay in the pool and you look out over the ocean, drink in your hand, it had a little outdoor fireplace. Man, that's good living. It took us an hour and a half to get up there, door to door. Obviously, we left a little bit before the traffic started, so we tried to cut out around 2:45 on Friday. We got there, loaded up on groceries. The weekend, it was so awesome. And, for an investor who understands Airbnb, which is completely legal outside of Panama City, I think you can tweak that. I think you can get, that house probably would have sold for, it's kind of beaten up. The house itself, the place was beautiful, the setting itself, but it was a little rough around the edges, and they were still getting every bit of $150 out of us. I mean, that house, I wouldn't be surprised if you could have it today for 250 grand. So do the math, right? If you're good at Airbnb, if you understand their algorithm, if you have a good property management company up there, we do property management here in the city. I tell you what, I mean, Airbnb is an angle right now because especially like you were saying, Matthew, domestic tourism. People are going to be sticking around in Panama for the next month or two, and they're going to be, scratching their head saying, where do we go? Let's go up to the mountains. And so, yeah, that's, but thank you, Chris. Hopefully that answers your question. It's an easy shot. It's literally 2 turns. Matthew, you're going to say?
I was going to say, one thing I always hear when I take people up to Altos is they always say, it doesn't feel like I'm in Panama anymore.
Yeah. Totally different microclimate. Yeah. I mean, like, you could see mountain lions up there. They're very timid. You won't see them that often. But like Matthew said, you got the pine trees. It smells different. It's cold in the mornings. I mean, it is, you get the mist moving in. It's really cool. So expats mostly live up there. I mean, what's an expat going to do? What do you do when you live in Altos?
So it's actually a pretty close-knit community amongst expats in that area. So they get together, have barbecues, get-togethers. But day to day, I see a lot of my friends up there enjoy gardening. They enjoy just walking down the nature trails and enjoying the views. I mean, some of the balconies out there, a lot of the homes have balconies on the edge of their property, and they can just watch the wind pushing the trees around and the clouds rolling in off the mountaintops. It's really beautiful.
Love it. Cool. What? Gardening all day long. Oh my gosh. No, and you've got a good tight-knit community. Clint, thank you. Maddie, how far is Altos down to the water? And then how far is Altos to Coronado?
Altos down to the water, you're talking like 20, 25 minutes. And then Coronado from Altos is only about 30, 35 minutes, depending on if you get stuck behind a slow truck on that mountain coming down the mountain.
Yeah, exactly. It's like 20 minutes down, and then you hang a right, and in 10 minutes you're at Coronado.
Exactly right.
Movie theaters, grocery shopping, restaurants, surfing, fishing, sort of the whole beach lifestyle within a half an hour drive.
Most Altos residents, they for their large shopping, they'll go down to Coronado and hit up the couple different supermarkets, Coches, whatever they need for a hardware store. But then for your small things, it's not like you have to go all the way down the mountain to get a pint of ice cream or to get a gallon of milk. You just go to one of the mini supermarkets in your area.
Yeah, right there, right in Altos. And I tell you what, the produce up there, and there's always a guy with his pickup truck and his microphone, the speaker, the broad speaker. Yeah. Aguacate, tomate, cebolla, lechuga. Fresh produce. Fresh seafood, too. I mean, 20 minutes up the mountain, captive audience, bunch of expats that own nice houses. You better believe that there's some seafood vendors that are more than happy to go up there, set up on a Saturday or do their rounds. You get fresh snapper, fresh mahi, fresh corvina. Oh, is it lunchtime yet? No, and Altos has great conditions. Yeah, awesome, Clint. Thank you. Temperatures. What kind of temperatures you looking at? How cold does it really get in Altos?
I mean, I'm a South Florida boy, born and raised. So anything below 85 is sweater weather for me. Yeah, in Altos, you're going to be in the 70s to 80s year round, day and night. At night it'll drop a little lower, especially with the breeze. It's not too cold, but also a lot of this depends on where your home is located in Altos. If you're at the 600 meter, it's going to be warmer than if you're at 800 or 900 meters.
Yeah, above sea level, absolutely. So, in terms of centigrade for our Canadians, on the call, I would say probably the low would be maybe 18.
In the teens?
Yeah. And then high, like on a scorcher, low elevation, upper 20s. Yeah. I can't see it getting up to 30 up there. So again, for my fellow gringos, that's, upper 60s, low 70s for the lows, and the highs would be upper 80s or very low 90s at midday in the sun. Average square furnished rental apartment, Larry. Thank you. So that Vitro unit was a 1-bedroom loft, really cool place, you know, cathedral style windows, walking friendly area, awesome swimming pool where you can do laps. That's one of my favorite pools, actually. I live a couple blocks from Vitro, but I got 2 little kids, so ain't no loft living for this guy anymore. That unit, Maddie, is what, 80 meters?
It's about 95 meters.
It's 100 meters. Okay, cool. So let's go 100 meters, $900. So that's $9 a meter. Clint, excuse me, Larry. So $9 a meter for a furnished 1-bedroom in a pretty cool building. You know, about 1,000 square feet. 90 meters is about 1,000 square feet, or 95 meters. So yeah, hopefully that answers that question. And that's pretty going rate. You know, I think rents will see some pressure short term. You know, we're working with some of our tenants. If they're in situations where they're not able to pay their rent, we're working out some arrangements. But yeah, that's, you know, prices are adjusting accordingly. So in theory, the yields could still stay around, you know, 4 or 5% net yield, or we'll say 3.5 to 4.5%. Especially if you buy well now. I mean, looking at the rental market over the next couple of years with job creation, immigration, the U.S. dollar coming off of its, you know, 9-year highs, or 7-year highs. I think that that will drive immigration, that'll drive jobs, and those things drive rents. So if you can take advantage, buy a cheap place now, the rents will come up to where they used to be. I mean, golly, when I first moved here, or maybe a couple years after that, that same apartment would have easily been what, 1,500, Matt? Easy.
Yeah, easily would have been 1,500.
Yeah, and now it's at 900. So, you know, I think history is always a good indicator of where a property market could go, because that's where it's been. And imagine paying, you know, 140 grand for a place that you could turn around and rent for 1,500. That's like 12% gross. So, you know, 9% net. That's rocking. You know, and that's for our guys that are, you know, in it for 5 years, right? Okay, nice. This is great talking to somebody else instead of just talking to a camera. What else, guys? If you're just joining us and we're getting ready to leave, would love to hear if you're in Panama or not. So, you know, a yes or no answer would be great. If it's the answer's no, where are you at these days? Where are you watching us from? Thank you, guys. We're doing this every week. Rain or shine. Well, we're working from home.
Ken, I've heard you mention about the Singapore market, the rental market.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think Panama is going to follow suit?
Hey, thank you. You never know. I mean, so Singapore, appreciate that, Maddie. I was on our phone call on our sales meeting this week with our team and giving some feedback I'd gotten from one of our clients based in Asia. He works in Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur, but he lives in Singapore. And he says, man, the region around Singapore is hurting. You know, Malaysia, Philippines, other Southeast Asian countries are stretched to the limit. And he said rentals in Singapore are going crazy because everybody wants to be around good quality healthcare in their region. And I got to thinking, man, look at Jamaica, look at Colombia, look at other, you know, Trinidad, Tobago, other small Caribbean nations. How are they faring right now? And how are they going to fare in 2 to 3 months when their hospitals, or 2 to 3 weeks, when their hospitals are overrun, versus Panama with 60% capacity? So yeah, I mean, hey, ever the optimist, right? But we could see some nice immigration once that opens up for people that are not comfortable living where they were. Maybe they aren't buyers at the beginning, but yeah, that could buoy our rental market, just like Procter & Gamble when they moved here in 2008. You know, 1,500 families in a small country like Panama, in a very small rental market like Panama, moves the needle. So yeah, no, thanks for asking about that. Let's see. I mean, people compare us to Singapore all the time. So vamos a ver, as they say. What else, Matt? What else can we give to the people in terms of insight?
Yeah, I'd like to know, what do you think is the biggest mistake being made right now, either by buyers or sellers?
Whoa. Not doing their homework, maybe. You know, understanding Panama's a very opaque market. So, we don't have a lot of statistics available. We've tried to make that transparent. We just published a big article yesterday trying to add some transparency where we opened up the performance of our portfolio, both on the rental and sales side, to give people an idea about what to expect. There's other people doing that in terms of sharing statistics, companies like Galeria Inmobiliaria, but they're below the radar. I mean, they're pay to play. You've got to subscribe to them. Our public registry is okay, but you got to know how to navigate it. So, yeah, I mean, I think that Panama, you have to do your homework. Go slowly. You don't need to jump into anything. Ask all the right questions. Read as much as you can, and seek multiple opinions. I mean, we're one opinion of many. We'll do right by you. I mean, all of our guys are straight shooters and hard workers, so you don't have to worry about getting sort of the carpet pulled out from under you, and we'll share as much resources as we can. But yeah, I think that's always been an issue, not just what's going on now, but what's going on in general in Panama is it's just not a very transparent market. So you got to be, you got to make sure whoever you're working with knows how to dot their I's, cross their T's, and question them. Say, oh yeah, show me. There's nothing wrong with calling BS.
All right. You reading anything interesting during the quarantine?
Oh my God, books, man! I'm working on my fifth book now. I still wake up at 5 to keep reading. I started a fun one, a non-business book. It's called Blood and Thunder. It's about the early 1800 discovery of the West and sort of, the political implications of the U.S. expanding their territory for the first time, invading another sovereign nation. But yeah, no, I've been reading. I picked up again Peter Drucker. I love him. That's management best practice from back in the day. Always reading blogs. I like news to an extent. I try to limit my news intake by 20 minutes or so, 20 to 30 minutes a day. But yeah, no, absolutely. What about you? I know you're just finishing up Mastery, right?
Yeah, I'm almost done with Mastery right now, and I finished Range a couple weeks ago. Range was very interesting.
Oh yeah.
And this morning I just picked up Tuesdays with Maury.
Oh boy, tearjerker.
Yeah, I just needed something a little different.
Mitch Albom, man. Yeah, he's cool. I think that's his name, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, Mitch Albom. Yep.
Oh yeah, no, that's keep ready, man. Panamanian receiving the relief from the government. Yes and no, Larry. It was very politicized at the beginning. There were reports of PRD, party loyalists, who's the current party, getting the handouts first. Handouts being $80 food or $80 in cash and food benefits. Now, Cortizo this week has digitized the process based on the cedula. So, he is putting up a good anti-corruption face, but don't they all? Let's hope that he's able to execute in terms of being a lot less partisan in delivering. We have been following protests, every day. There's a different neighborhood out pounding their pots and pans saying, hey, we haven't gotten paid yet. We need relief. There's a lot of private organizations that are stepping up. Chuleta, when is Cortizo going to lift the stay at home? I mean, for better or for worse, love to pass along rumors to lift people's spirits, but I'm always very careful about saying they're rumors. So if you want to follow Kent Davis on Facebook or Panama Equity, I'm doing that more on my personal. I heard rumors that they were going to start to lift the Ley Seca, which is the ban on alcohol. Haven't seen it yet. So yeah, I mean, everyone's clamoring to get back to work. The government, like all governments, are scrambling to, instill best practices in public transportation, in government offices, and of course, private industry. Overall, Larry, of course, we're following it for the economic implications in terms of, if there are protests, then expats will see Panama in a bad light. There are protests. They're not violent yet. I think that, the government is continuing to make very high priority to sorry, Clint, I just saw your question. Very high priority to getting resources deployed as quickly as possible to prevent social unrest. And they've been mildly, but not completely successful. But again, private organizations, tons of them are stepping in to fill the gaps. Thank God. Keep watching this space. That's something that we're following very closely and try to report on. 7-day agenda, Clint. You know, I would say Altos can be achieved from a home base in Coronado. So I would encourage you to split your time between Panama City and a beaches destination. If you want to be close to Panama City, then you're going to want to start with Coronado. If you're the kind of guy that appreciates living in a small town where you've got all your amenities, say within a half an hour drive, then Petitcie is worth checking out. But if you need to get back to the city to, you know, go out to the clubs or, you know, go to the opera or receive specialized medical attention, you're going to want to be within an hour and a half radius of Panama City, and that's the Coronado area. The mountains can be discovered in a day, both leaving from Panama City and or the beaches area. But yeah, Petitcie is cool too. But yeah, 7 days is more than enough. And, you know, on your first visit, just seek people out. Ask them what they don't like about Panama. Because everybody's the first person, including us, to talk about, hey, how awesome Panama is, what you're going to love. But it's just as important to, you know, discover your unknown unknowns, right? Is asking people. Internet's a great forum for it as well. What would you add to that, Matthew?
Yeah, I would probably do 3 days in Panama City and then 3 days in Coronado. 3 days in Panama City because it's so huge. There's so many different neighborhoods. You're not talking just the city. You're talking San Francisco, Barrio, Avenida Balboa. The list goes on. And then Coronado is a great jumping off point because now you're within a half hour of all the other beach communities. You can head towards the city. You can still check out Playa Caracol and Punta Chame, or you can go the opposite way towards the interior, and you're a half hour away from Buenaventura.
Yeah, which is like super luxury, gated community, golf course community. And, you know, if you want to really get specific, I would say if you can time it as such, make sure to spend Friday and Saturday night in the city. Get out to Costco, see it in its full glory. You know, everybody out on the street, bars, restaurants are packed. Well, they would have been, God willing. You know, everything gets back to a new normal soon. But then get out to Coronado on a Sunday. That way, you're A, going against traffic because everybody's coming in from Coronado, and B, you can get a nice comparison between what Coronado is like on a Sunday, which is still kind of like full with all the weekenders, and how that compares to a Monday, which is, you know, just the full-time residents out there.
Yeah, and that's actually a very good pro tip there is try to avoid going out there on holiday weekends and going out there on Friday, because that's when you have all the Panamanians or all the locals that live in the city going out to their beach community. So you're not getting a real feel for the area.
And expats.
Yeah.
Am I a local and I'm an expat? I don't know. I feel like a local. Cool. Well, I mean, if you're just joining us, I would really appreciate if you guys can check in and say where you're from. And same time, same place, next Friday. This is on the internet now for posterity. So, you know, ¿qué te iba a decir? Feel free to make comments if you stuck around to the end and are not watching this live, because we'll get back to you. And yeah, Matthew Marx is your dude for all things beaches and mountains. And he knows the city too. He lives in the city.
Triple threat.
Triple threat. Cool. All right. Well, thank you, Matthew. I appreciate you making the time. And onwards and upwards, team.
All right. Thanks for having me, Ken.
Absolutely. I don't know how to turn this off. So see you later.
See ya.
Kind of like when you say goodbye and then you're still with the person. You know how. I don't know how. Stop stream. Thanks, guys. Ciao.